Hello, I'm Nina Cooke, and thank you so much for joining me today for the Entrepreneurs in a Game podcast. Today, I have a great pleasure to announce my guest. He's Simone Vincenzi. Simone is the co-founder of gtex.org.uk, and he helps coaches and speakers to dominate their niche. He's the host of Explode Your Coaching Biz show, and by the age of only 29, he's been featured in more than 100 podcasts, Sky, the Huffington Post, and shared the stage with Les Brown, Gary Vee, Dr. John Demartini, and many more. He's recently been awarded as the best speaker in the UK in 2016 and has been nominated in the House of Parliament as one of the most influential migrant entrepreneurs in the UK. Simone, it's such a pleasure to welcome you here, and thank you so much for joining me today for the Entrepreneurs in a Game podcast.
Oh, thank you for inviting me, Nina. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to get started.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. So, Simone, please just let us know, me and the listeners, about how you've achieved this wonderful success at the age of 29.
Well, how long do we have?
We have 30 minutes.
Right, okay. So I need to cut this story a bit shorter because we don't have 5 years too.
We'd like all the highlights, please.
Exactly. Let's start with the highlights. Now, I think mindset is what is the most crucial thing, and the reason why I'm saying this it is because it came up in a conversation that we had just before the show, Nina, and it mentioned the importance of mindset in starting this entrepreneurial journey. And I think that mindset is everything. And for example, my journey started, I gotta say, at the age of 14. And it's not as an entrepreneurial journey, but that was the first time where my mindset was tested in a very harsh way. Because my father was an alcoholic and my parents split up when I was 14. So suddenly, from having, a nice life, both parents working, we weren't rich, but we weren't poor as well. So we could go on holidays a couple of times a year. Suddenly, all that, poof, disappeared. And I saw my mom that she was struggling to pay the bills. She was working extra shifts. She couldn't go and pick my brother up from nursery at the time. And I said, I got to do something. And at least I can start earning something for myself. Right? So then my mom doesn't have to pay for me, and she can be focused on my brother, on my little brother, and the household. And I found a job in restaurants, and that's what I loved. And I found that for the first time in my life, I found something that I loved, and I think that's the biggest lesson, the first lesson on my journey and in the show, which is about the importance of doing something that you love. Because I remember I was going to school at the time, but I hated school. I hated every single day at school. But then, as soon as I found working in a restaurant, it was something that I absolutely loved. Then I wanted to learn. Say, what? I thought that I didn't love to learn. And for me, it was the biggest important lesson I got at the time is that find something that I loved. And then the second learning that I got from that experience was to put the work in. Because by the age of 19, I work in more than 300 different restaurants. It was a bit insane. But I'm the kind of person that is all in. When I love something, I just go all in. And at the age of 19, I became also the youngest Michelin Star restaurant manager in Europe.
Wow.
And it was an incredible achievement. I was earning a lot of money, and I was clubbing every night. It was a dream. I was living literally a dream life. And then I've been recruited here in the UK to work in another Michelin Star restaurant. But all this happened just because I literally learned from other people that were better than me. I implemented it, found my style, and put a lot of hours in to become really good. Because, sometimes people don't, they think they can just start something and then they're going to be successful, right?
Yes, and you didn't have to invent all the wheel because people had already done it ahead of you. So you did something that's very basic and very simple. You learned from other people who were better than you, then you implemented it.
Exactly.
And then you
Exactly.
found your own style, so you took it even further. And it sounds so simple. So why don't more people do this? Very simple modeling. That's really what it is, isn't it? You're modeling other people.
And that's what happened to me as well, because this was the funny part. I've done it before, but I think that sometimes we tend to forget what worked before, or we want to find the toughest route because we think, no, it cannot be that simple. And there is a difference between simple and easy, right? Simple because the strategy can be simple. The path is never easy. Anyway,
Yes.
but now that we have addressed this, I remember at the age of 22, I got bored. I gotta say, I don't have this kind of story where, I did something that I hated for many years. No, I always loved what I did. I was very lucky because I chose to do something that I loved, to do only what I loved. And at the age of 22, I got bored because I was already working in a restaurant for more than 8 years, had a really intense career, and reached almost the top of what I could achieve in that industry. And I said, okay, I want to do something different now. I feel that the challenge is missing. And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm sure that you came across that, Nina, has this thing that they want to challenge themselves, right? That they are driven by challenging themselves. I don't know if you are that kind of person too.
Absolutely, yes. Yes, yes.
Because it's not an easy journey. So if you don't have that kind of fire inside yourself and you want to challenge yourself, then that's not the path for you. Just get a job, it's easier. And I remember I didn't know what to do, and I started attending different courses and different seminars. And I remember like it was yesterday, I was sitting in the front row in the seminar room, and there were all the lights focusing on the speaker, and it was the speaker with their flip chart paper behind him, and he was writing, and said, I want to do that. I don't know where that came from. I just said, I want to do that. And then the next question was, how the heck did I do that?
You ought to be up there speaking and teaching.
Exactly. So I did a bit of research in the coaching and speaking industry, and I signed up with a coaching academy, which is a large established coaching school in London, and I started from there my coaching career. But somehow I forgot what I did before, which was putting the hours in, asking other people, and I was expecting almost a sudden success. Just because I was successful before, I was expecting already to start something immediately and earn hundreds of thousands or millions of pounds, like unfortunately a lot of marketers say. You come into this industry and you say, oh, you can make 6-figure just working 2 hours a day starting from tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, about that.
A lot of promises. There's a lot of promises out there, aren't there?
Absolutely. And then something happened that again tested my mindset a lot, and in particular tested my resilience. And that we're going to the third learning of my journey, which was being resilient. Because while I was finishing my studies, my grandfather died, and my mom was really close to her father. Mom was really close to her, and she took it very bad. Now, bearing in mind that at that time, I didn't speak with my mom for more than 3 years, just because, I'm from Italy, and Italian moms are very nurturing. And the trend in Italy is that people live with their parents up until they are 35 or 40 years old. Now, I left when I was 18 because I didn't want to stay at home with mom, right? And my mom, when I moved to the UK, she didn't take it very well.
I can imagine. Her darling son leaving so early.
Exactly. So funny thing now, last year, my brother moved as well. I dragged my brother here in the UK, so my mom...
She's not happy.
Not having a great time there. But so my mom took it very personal, and we didn't talk properly for more than 3 years. And I knew, with all I've learned through my personal development journey, that was the right time to go back to Italy and build a relationship. But at that moment, I was without a job, and because I was just focusing on my study and living off my savings, and I didn't have the luxury, to do all this traveling back and forth. But at the same time, I wanted to finish my studies. So what did I do? I did something that a lot of people thought I was crazy. I made myself homeless when I was here in London. Now, some people say, "What? Why did you make yourself homeless? Are you not?" Yes, I'm not. I'm a bit crazy. But I knew that for me, the most important thing were two things at the time. One was building the relationship with my mom again. And two was completing my studies so I can finally start my business. And accommodation, well, I could have tested living on the street and see how that could work. Because then what I did for 6 months, I used to live in between London and Italy, and I just had in my savings the money to allow me to buy these flights, because I bought them, like £30 each, and from Ryanair that worked. And when I was in Italy, I was staying with my mom and building the relationship with her. When I was in London, sometimes I was staying at friends' houses, sometimes I was living on the street, sometimes I was living in parks, and I gave everything I had away to charity. That was such a liberating experience, I can tell you. Everything I had, I gave it away to charity, and I was living with just what could fit in a backpack. And that experience changed my life, because it told me, it made me realize, what am I willing really to do in order to make this work? And I, at the moment, it was a statement to myself that I was willing to do anything I could to make it happen. Does it make sense?
Absolutely. You really pushed yourself to the very limit.
Exactly.
To see how much this meant to you. And it meant everything.
Yes.
What was it like being homeless?
Well, I have to say, I lived a happy homelessness, to say, because it was my choice. I knew that in every moment, if that wasn't going to work out, I could go back into a job, because I had people knocking at my door. I could send a CV and finding a job anytime I wanted. So for me, it was a happy homelessness, because I saw it as an adventure. I was like, okay, in which park can I sleep tonight without getting caught? So there were more my challenges. And on the other side, it was a terrible experience, because I realized how it really is living on the street. Because then before I was surrounded, working in Michelin Star restaurants, right? We were surrounded by millionaires, billionaires, celebrities. I mean, we had clients, our clients were like Woody Allen, Madonna. They were kind of people that were coming to our restaurants here in London. And going from that to living on the street and spending my day surrounded by people that were abusing alcohol, drugs, people with crazy story, people that were abused emotionally, physically, consistently. It made me realize how life can be tough for certain people, and how lucky I am to be, even, with the problem that we have, there are first world problems, right? And that was tough. And also sleeping outside in the cold during the winter, because it was between October and March. So I picked that like the best period for that. And
the very best.
the very best period, absolutely. It was freezing cold, and I remember I had a lot of warm clothes with me, but most of the time I was waking up myself during the night while I was, trapped in my sleeping bag, and I couldn't feel my hands anymore. I couldn't feel my feet anymore. I don't know if you've ever been somewhere where it's so cold that, you kind of feel your arms and legs anyway. I was like, oh. But then I knew again that that was going to pass the day after.
Yeah. And you made a choice, didn't you? That you knew that you were doing this in order to reach a goal, and that you could step out of it anytime you wanted to. And you saw everything from the very wealthiest people you used to serve in the Michelin restaurant to the very, very poorest who had nothing. You've seen everything in between. Absolutely. And not many people get to experience that huge extreme from one to the other in their lives.
Exactly. And I think that experience was crucial for me in giving me the resilience that I needed to build my business and to build GTEx. Because I've realized, first of all, that no matter what can happen, I survived. I lived on the street. So if I have a month with that, they don't have enough clients. That's
Yes.
right. So I could put all the problems that I had in the future in perspective to the experience that I had in that moment, and also knowing that I can live with £1. Right. In that time, I also learned how to play an instrument. In fact, I play didgeridoo. And I could just go on the street, and I used to bask on the street and just get money from it. So I know that no matter what happens, I'm sorted. Now, of course, I was by myself. This reasoning is not applying right now that I have a wife, we're planning to have a family. That is not the same thing, because it's not just myself anymore. As you know, there are some people here say, well, yeah, good and well for you. I have a family, I have kids. I cannot put myself and my family on the street, and I will never do that. But I'm talking about the learnings and the mindset that I got, the resilience that I've learned from that process, so that I was able, to run my business. And I didn't make any money as a coach for more than 3 years. So it was very difficult for me to start getting clients, because at the end of the day, I didn't know anything about business. I knew about serving in restaurants, and I knew about giving incredible experiences to people. But I didn't know about marketing. I didn't know about sales. I didn't know about funnels. I didn't know about CRM. I didn't know about creating invoices. I didn't know about taxes. Actually, my first company was closed because I didn't pay my taxes. Like something so basic, right? I didn't know that I had to pay taxes. But I was such a kid.
Great. But you learned quickly.
Oh yeah, I've learned, because I was I think actually I was I was in Reading. I was in Reading at the time, which is close to London, and I went to take money out with my card, with a business card, and that was the only £500 I had in my account. And I put the card in, and then pops up the image in the ATM machine. Oh, your card is not valid anymore. Your account has been closed, or something like that.
There you go.
So I had to call my girlfriend at the time and say, hey, can you send me some money, please? So I can come back to London and figure out what the heck happened.
So Simone, you said that for the first 3 years or so, you didn't earn much as a coach. And then what happened? How did you grow your business?
I've realized that I need to thank three people for this. One is called Clinton Swain, that told me how to communicate and be captivating on stage. The other person is Patrick Powers, that is the founder of the largest meetup, entrepreneurial meetup in Europe. And I remember attending one of his talks, and he said the two most important things you need to have as an entrepreneur is that you need to learn how to market yourself and how to sell. Because then if you learn these two skills, then you're going to be sorted for the rest of your life. Because you can always hire the other people to do the other part, but no matter what happens, you can always market and sell yourself, which means you can generate cash. And I said, okay, so let me focus on marketing and selling. So the third person is called Paul Atherton, and he's a great sales coach, and he told me how to sell. And once I've learned and I mastered selling and marketing, that was easy. At that point, it was easy, because I know how to get people interested into what I do, and I know how to convert them into paying clients. So that will be my biggest advice for people that are doing everything. Just focus on at the beginning. Given that first of all, you've got to be great at what you do, and you want to go into an industry that you are familiar with. Sometimes I work with the majority of my clients are coaches, speakers, and trainers, and they're starting an industry. They don't have a freaking clue about how it works. So who is going to hire you as an expert in that industry if you don't know yourself how the industry works?
Yes.
Thank you. And then the second part is, okay, now learn how to market yourself. And, sometimes you have people that say, oh, I don't know, I feel like a fraud, or I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, or I don't know, will people like what I do, or there are too many other people saying the same things. And I had all these things in my head too. But the reality is that there is only one of you, There is only one person that can deliver that content in the way you deliver it. And there is only one person that can deliver that service in the way you deliver that service.
That is so true. Because every one of us is unique, and we spend so much time worrying about the competition, thinking that they're better than us, they've got more clients, they've got a shinier marketing project program. And yet it doesn't matter, because some people will be attracted to each one of us and other people won't. And we can't please everyone, and we can't have everyone as clients. And having the rejections and the no's is as important as having the yeses.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there is something that I've learned, which is in the third part, talking about sales, is that to quantify, and this is something that Paul Atherton told me, it was about to quantify how much is a no worth to you. So let's say a client pays you £1,000, right? Or $1,000. And you have to told to 5 clients to get that one client to pay you $1,000 or £1,000. Then every no that you get is worth actually someone is like paying you $250. That's it. I'm like, okay, that's good. So every no I say is like, okay, thank you for your money.
Yes, yeah, and that's a wonderful lesson, isn't it, for anyone to learn? So they're not scared of rejection. They don't fear rejection. They see rejection as a step, another step towards the yes.
Absolutely. And if there is another thing that I can share with our listeners at this stage, is that not everyone learned how to sell, or has learned how to sell, or did sales training or work previously in a sales job or a sales career. So something that I did, because I knew that selling was my most difficult thing, because I was able to get great results for my client. Now I arrived to a point where I was able to market myself, but still I wasn't converting them. And I was very annoyed about it, because I'm like, I'm great at what I do. I just want, please guys, give me a chance to show me what can I do for you, right? And the please doesn't work. Like, please give me a chance. No, that doesn't work.
No, that doesn't work.
So what I said, well, if I put myself in the toughest sales environment, I can grow my sales skills very fast. So I went to, I got a part-time job as a salesperson door-to-door for charities. Now, if you do that, you become rejection-proof for the rest of your life. I never experienced something as tough as that, because now you are competing. There are people got knocked on their doors every day, multiple times a day. So they are super annoyed. They don't want to see you. If they slam their door in your face, is a good day. And then you got to go there. And I was there. It was winter. I still remember the first sales I made in that moment. And my hands again were so cold that I couldn't hold my pen. Because I knocked doors. After that, I knocked about 250 doors that day, and no one wanted to get it. And I've been working in that role for about a week, and no one wanted to sign up for me. And I remember it was the last shift. I said, okay, you know what? Just give me one more door. I knocked this door, and it was this lovely lady that appeared at the door. And the charity resonated with something that happened to her life personally, or someone that she knew, and she decided to sign up. But while I was there to fill up the form, I literally couldn't hold the pen. So I said, can you please hold the pen? I just can't feel my hands anymore. So she said, okay, now, come in, get a cup of tea, some biscuits. Then I'll sign up.
Yeah, she wanted you to get some warmth, come into the warmth for a bit. Yes.
Exactly. And I think that's a big learning for what happens in everyday in business. You go to a lot of rejections. You go to a lot of people that they might slam the door in your face, no matter how great your product or service is. And then you will always have that person in the moment when you need, if you keep going and you're persistent enough, that will sign up, that will give you even more money to expect, and will give you even more that you were thinking of. Like it happened to me with the tea and the biscuit and a place to stay for half an hour.
It's a wonderful, wonderful tale of how persistence, resilience really pays off. So it seems to me, Simone, that coming out of your comfort zone has been one of your greatest skills and mindset. Your mindset is coming out of your comfort zone to grow yourself, to experience new things, to challenge yourself, to get wonderful learnings from all of these experiences and opportunities, and then to apply them to your life to make it even better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's has been one of my greatest gifts. And I need to thank also the people around me, because I think I remember Napoleon Hill or someone else saying that you are the result of the average 5 people that you spend most of your time with. And I took it very seriously, because I looked at, when I was 21 or 22, I looked at around and I was like, man, I don't want to become like these people. I was one of them because, I was taking out the drugs, I was partying every night, I was living a good life. And but then I saw a lot of people that I was hanging around with, and they were in their 30s, in their 30s, and they were still clubbing and taking drugs. And you know what? That's not the kind of person I want to be. And I literally cut a lot of bridges with people that were my friends before. And then from one day to another, they stopped hearing from me, because I realized that I needed other people around me. So I actually published my first book when I was 23. And the reason why I published that book, which was called 69 Buzzing Question to Turn Your Life Upside Down.
I like the title. It's great.
That was the name. It sold quite well during my seminars because of the title. And the reason why I wrote that book, and I challenged myself to write and publish it in a month, was because everyone else around me when I was 23 had a book. Because I was hanging around with other coaches and speakers. They were already in their 30s, 40s, or 50s. And they already had about 10, 15, 20 years of experience to being in this industry. But I was there. I started, a few years or a few months. I said, you know what? No, I got to have a book now. And I wrote my book. And I think being surrounded by people that you want to be with, that you want to be like them, or that you aspire to be like, and they are supporting you along this journey, that's the most important thing, because at the end of the day, we are whole human beings.
Yes, and from my own personal experience, I've been in a mastermind group where people are more successful than me, and I chose that mastermind group for that reason. And it really helped me to think bigger, to raise my game, to believe more about what was possible for me. And you're right, I was hanging out with these people, and it really helped me.
Absolutely. And there are, in every business, there are always challenges. Like thinking about, when I will reach that amount of money, my challenges will stop. That's not true. That's never true. Actually, the bigger the business, now we are hiring, we are about 6 people in our team, right? And when I started, it was just myself. Then I got a business partner, then an assistant in the Philippines. Then we have an event manager, an event coordinator, and we have a digital person that does our digital marketing. And now we are hiring our first salesperson. And I'm thinking the business is growing well. We're going towards $250,000 this year. But the challenges that I have now are bigger than the challenges that I had before. Why? Because the scale is much bigger. Before, something wasn't working well. Okay, well, if I lose £1,000 before, it was £1,000. Now what happened, £1,000 I was losing before, now becomes 20,000. Right? So it's always about being surrounded by those people that you have around you that can put things in perspective when you're going through these tough times. And that's why I love creating communities. I love creating communities of coaches, speakers, and trainers that they're supporting each other, because it's an industry where a lot of people do things by themselves. And it's an industry with a very lonely industry sometimes. And a lot of people talk about collaboration, but collaboration really doesn't happen.
Yes.
And what we decided to do is just to create this hub where people can connect and can really help and support each other. And if you're not the kind of supportive people, then that's the door.
Yeah, I think that's really, really true, because it is a very isolated business, isn't it? Being a coach, a trainer, therapist. And sometimes we look at everyone and think that they're the competition. But actually, it's an opportunity to work with other people and collaborate and support and be supported by
Absolutely.
people who are doing similar work to you. And they're not it's not that they're your competition. They'll take clients away from you. They can bring you clients as well.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm collaborating with a lot of my competitors at the moment, because you're right to a point and you understand, there is no competition. There is competition, But the competition is, how can I be better than them and myself? And how can I create something that they don't want to create? Or how can I create something that they don't want to offer? But at the same time, I'm doing it in a way that is not to put them down. Doing it in a way where we know that we are collaborating, we are, sharing our events together. I'm sharing someone else's event, they're sharing my event. And then we pay each other a commission for the recommendation. So at the end of the day, they earn as well, and I earn too. So
it's a win-win, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So Simone, what's the number one mindset tip you could share with our listeners that will help them to grow their businesses?
Mindset tip is as well important as a business. I think this mindset tip was as important for me in the business as important for me in my personal life. And that's how, for example, I actually got married. So it's quite important.
Very important.
Which is a never, and I'm repeating myself here, but is never, ever, ever take no for an answer. Ever, ever, ever take no for an answer. Because I think in our life, all we can sell, okay, we can be sold. And when you're talking to your customers, when you're talking to prospect clients, even if they say no right now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be a no in the future. Now, for some people, sometimes it's going to be a no now and a no in the future, and that's fine. But as long as you have that mindset of, there is always another person, or, there is always another opportunity. Now, for example, when I started dating my wife, she didn't want to date me, right? She didn't even want to go out with me. And I spent a month sending her texts, popping out with roses where she was, and bringing her to nice places, giving her gifts, surprising her a bit. And then somehow she fell in love with me. And that's the same thing that happens with your clients, with potential clients, where you're surprising them. You're show that you care about them, even if they say no once, because then they are going to, when they will be in a mindset on the right place to say yes, they will share the person, they will choose the person that care the most about them. And if the person is you, great, you have their business.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Be supportive and never take no personally. And as he said, it's just no, not now, not at this minute. It's not right for me, but it may be right in the future.
Absolutely.
So Simone, how can our listeners find out more about you and your work?
Well, thank you for asking, Nina. I appreciate it. There are two places. One is if you're listening to a podcast, I'm assuming that you like listening to podcasts. And if you want to listen more of my voice, then we have a podcast called the Explode Your Coaching Biz Show. So let me repeat it again. Explode Your Coaching Biz Show. One more time. Explode Your Coaching Biz Show. And you can find it on iTunes and on Stitcher. Now you can subscribe to the podcast, and I interview other coaches, speakers, and trainers who are making 6 figures to 7 figures, 8 figures, people that are walking their talk, that are running their businesses, making money in an ethical way, without all this scummy thing going on. And I ask them what's working for them right now in their business. So then you can take inspiration from their business models and what's working for them right now. So that's Explode Your Coaching Biz on iTunes. Then the other place is our Facebook group, because as we said, it can be quite an isolating journey, right? It can be quite an isolating journey being a coach. And the most important thing that you can have is being surrounded by other like-minded people like yourself that can help and support you, where you can collaborate, create powerful joint ventures, and as well learn from them. And that's you can find our Facebook group, which is free. There are a few questions to see if you can make the application process, but the group is free. And that's Explode Your Coaching Biz. So Explode Your Coaching Biz. You can find it on Facebook.
Fantastic. We'll put links up to both of those as well. Fantastic. Thank you so much. It's been amazing. I could talk to you all day. I'm really sad that we've come to the end of our time. And really,
I'm sad too. I had a great time.
It's been great. And thank you for sharing all your wisdom, all your experiences, and how coming out of your comfort zone is the most important thing, really, not just for your business, but for your own life, for your own personal growth.
Absolutely.
And thank you everyone who's been listening, and hope to see you again soon. Thank you for joining us today. Bye-bye.